It is a jam-packed schedule for the US President Joe Biden as he heads to Europe. This will be his first foreign trip as the American president. The 8-day trip begins on Wednesday and lasts till the 16th of June. The president has a lot of stops to cover, including the UK and Belgium, before a final bilateral meet on the snowy slopes of Switzerland. Let's tell you more about the schedule. The trip begins on the morning of the 9th of June. When Joe Biden departs from Washington, the first stop then will be at the Royal Air Force Mildenhall in the UK. Biden's plan is to greet US Air Force personnel at Mildenhall, which is home to the 100th Air Refueling Wing. On the 10th of June, Joe Biden is set to meet UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. The venue is the village of Cornwall, the site of the G7 summit. The meet is a move to reaffirm the special relationship between the US and the UK. But there are some tricky topics that the president wants to discuss, with all eyes on Biden to calm the Northern Ireland tensions. From there, it is 3 straight days of diplomacy. G7 nation leaders huddled together in the English seaside village, charting out the path for new policies and discussing common adversaries. The focus remains on the pandemic, Russia and China. Biden's aim is to rebuild relations with allies after 4 rocky years of the Trump presidency. A gathering that will put Biden's America is Back motto to test. On the 13th of June, after wrapping up his G7 commitments, the American president, along with First Lady Dr. Jill Biden, will head to Windsor Castle for a brief meeting with Queen Elizabeth. From there, the Bidens will depart for Brussels. On the agenda is a NATO outreach, several meetings with NATO leaders, and even a supposed private meeting with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. This is Biden's chance to shore up his allies before he heads for the final rendezvous in Geneva. On the 16th of June is a bilateral that the entire world will be watching very closely. US President Joe Biden and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin will be meeting in Geneva for the first time since Biden became president, a meet that the White House calls vital to defend American interests. The two have plenty to talk about, from the Russian military involvement in Ukraine to the cyber hacking incidents that are plaguing the United States. According to National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, the focus is on understanding and communicating issues face-to-face. Joe Biden will also defend Ukraine's sovereignty during the talks, but a news conference of the two leaders could be a far stretch, with low expectations from both the White House and the Kremlin. And joining us on the broadcast this minute is our correspondent Susan Teherani from New York for more on this crucial trip. Hi, Susan. This will be Joe Biden's first foreign trip as the American president. Tell us more about what the U.S. administration and the president hope to achieve from this trip overall, and specifically from the U.S. president's meeting with his Russian counterpart.
Right. So this has been termed by a White House official as being a foreign policy for the American middle class. So a trip overseas, but geared towards a domestic audience for sure, considering the many challenges that the Biden administration is facing here at home with jobs, cyber threats, and the threat of China as well. So Biden's agenda will basically be a softer version of former President Donald Trump's America First policy, where what he did was prioritize the U.S. unapologetically. The difference is that Biden will try to sway U.S. allies to bolster his approach rather than saying America can do it all by itself. There are serious issues to discuss with Europe, ranging from the Afghanistan pullout to military spending, obviously Russia and China, as well as trade disputes and tariff issues, and climate, and of course vaccine diplomacy. In talks with Russia, although the rhetoric has been very different from the path that Donald Trump was taking, A lot of the policies will be very similar, as you mentioned, so we'll have to wait and see what direction this conversation and this meeting will take, notably regarding cybersecurity and energy. Those are two issues that will really stick out.
Right, and when it comes to the sticking points between the two sides, the US and the European Union, there is a lot on the table. Any specific agenda that has already been announced in particular?
Yeah, Europe has been very clear in appreciating Joe Biden's embrace of quote-unquote multilateralism after somewhat frosty relations with Donald Trump. But they know that at the end of the day, Biden's policy will discreetly have a price tag attached to it. And they're not really sure about Biden's foreign policy for the middle class and how it differs ultimately with Europe, with Trump's America First policy. Also, China is a big trade partner of Europe. America will definitely try to push Europe in being more aggressive towards China because America does have more stakes in countering China. And then you have Germany has very close ties with Russia on issues like energy, and this Nord Stream 2 pipeline has really become a main sticking point. And, they also know that electoral clocks are ticking not only here in the United States with the midterm elections, which if the Republicans decide to take over the House and win, Biden will not have as much maneuver room as they hope. Also, Germany has elections, and France as well. So those are the issues to take into consideration during this trip.
All right, leaving it there for the moment. Susan Tehrani, thanks very much for those details and updates. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.